of my favorite things to do. As an instructional designer, I sometimes get a little stuck or overwhelmed at what the design of it's all going to look like. And in fact, like the content is my strong suit, I would say, whereas like making it look pretty on the page is other people's strong suits. So this is just a lesson on how to storyboard if you do have maybe like a mind like me. But I want to list the benefits of storyboarding as well, because storyboarding is really great when you have a lot of stakeholders on your project. And the reason I like to storyboard is to get sign off from everybody on the storyboard when minimal effort has been put into the actual design of the course yet. So we haven't really put anything into a module yet. We haven't built any interactions. We haven't recorded any voiceover. And those things are really important, because if we can get sign off on those, and we know that going forward, everything will work out better. If you've ever been on a project when someone wants a voiceover redone, it can be kind of complicated, because if you took time to record that in a studio, or you had an actress or an actor actually record the voiceover for you, that can all of a sudden increase your cost of your course. So I'm going to show you a couple of different storyboard templates that I work with. The first time I storyboarded, I always did it in PowerPoint or Google Sheets. So I'll show you my templates, and these are all going to be provided to you as well, so that you can have a play with them if you'd like. So bear with me one second. Here's my first, I guess, storyboard that I created. Do you guys just see PowerPoint, or do you see like a lot of stuff?
We just see your, there we go, we see your PowerPoint now.
Okay, yeah, it's better if I bring it down on my small screen here. Okay, so it looks pretty simple, right? This template actually has also been built on the master slide of PowerPoint, so that you don't, you can just click in here and start adding your notes to it. So my first note or scene would usually be an introduction slide. And over here on the programmer notes section, you're going to put sort of maybe the functionality, or for anybody who's developing it, what you want this slide to look like. And it's not necessarily going to go on the page, but it might be some ideas or some notes. Here, you can have your main page area. So you can actually add your pictures here, or your text here that you would like. And then underneath here is the voiceover. Now, if you don't use voiceover, then you simply can just take away that section and use it for your main page area space for you to plan out everything that you want to show. The reason I moved away from PowerPoint was because of collaboration. So I usually either use Google Slides or a different collaboration tool, just so that I can have other people make comments and we're all working off of the same document. You can do the same in PowerPoint. The other reason, just in case there's anybody out there that has a lot of like citations in their storyboard or in their modules, it's very difficult to track citations in PowerPoint and also to make edits. So you're kind of stuck with the comments here. Whereas like, so if I had, you know, I wanted to make this a different title for this page, I would have to just make a comment on it. I couldn't actually make the edit and track the changes. Like Word, you can track the changes. So I actually prefer Word. And so trying to help you guys learn from some of the lessons that I learned along my way of, you know, starting to use different tools for storyboarding, because it's really meant to just give you a blank canvas of what do you want to see on the page, and to add those notes there without putting a lot of the design into it yet. So you might actually have pictures, but they might, you might either refer to them as like the picture name and put them all in a folder for someone. So you're not having to get caught up on the worrisome of, does this make sense where it's placed on the page? And you can get your content sort of down on the page before you get to the design aspect of it. So this will be provided to you as well, like I said, and I would just continue to go through, and my second scene would typically be my learning objectives. So I would go ahead and add my learning objectives here. And I did want to share with you, I'll put it in the chat here, a great site for helping you create learning objectives. If you've never written learning objectives, they're this site that I found here just is really helpful to write them in a good and concise way. So let me share that with you. So here we've got create learning objectives. So let's say today that we're going to teach everyone how to add a virtual background to their Zoom conference. So today our learner would be participants, we'll just say. And I like this site because it puts it up there with Einstein as well. So we're going to understand. So let's see, they're going to be able to locate, that's a good one, the virtual background in Zoom. Okay, so now we have our, oh, and we can add a condition. So at the end of the session. Now these learning objectives might be a little too long for your group or your crowd, but I do like the consistency of adding all of those words, using Bloom's taxonomy words to find the correct learning objective for you. So today we are going to get that, which I probably would have to, you know, click on a sign up for my email thing. So we'll just add it here to our storyboard over here. So I'll go back to that. All right, so here we're going to just add our learning objective, which is that participants okay. Okay, so for that one, then I would just, you know, for my programming notes, not much needs to be said there, but we can just make sure that the words, let's say, locate is in bold, because that is going to help the learner really see what they're going to be doing in this module. Okay, so let's skip over now to show you a couple of my other different templates, just because I just wanted to explain the PowerPoint one. If PowerPoint works well for you, awesome, great. I just personally found that it limited me on my comments. So like I said here, I could, you can't track your changes in it. So if you send your PowerPoint to someone else, they can make comments on it. And when you have a lot of comments, let's say there's a lot of edits to your text, you wish that you had that accept button that allows you to just accept the change. And if they're just adding it as comments, it can become quite a bit of work to actually put those changes back into the PowerPoint. So that's why I liked something a little bit more along the lines of either a Google Sheet, which I'll show you here now. Oops. Sorry, my computer's just not loving the drag. Okay, here we go. All right, so in a Google Sheets, it's very much like PowerPoint. As you can see here, I've got my my structure sort of set up very similarly. So I can add the name of the storyboard. I can add the name of the scene here, just like I could in the other PowerPoint template. But what I can do here is I can actually put some changes in here, and I can put some comments Another thing, if you do use Google or if you do have Teams, you can actually sign this to other people on your team to do something about that. So you can actually assign them like a certain page if you'd like to. That is super helpful, I think, to be able to assign them. And Corinne's gonna wonder what I'm assigning to her right now, so I'll just cancel that. So just as the same as I was showing you before, the main point is, you know, to put your notes about what you are thinking about the slide here for the development team or a design team. So if you're lucky enough to work in a place where you can pass over your idea to someone who's going to implement the design, that's great. But I storyboard for myself too. Even when I'm going to do the design work myself, I find that this helps me get all of the ideas out on one page or in, you know, one packet. And then when I go through, I can really then concentrate on the design aspect of it and how I can make it look interesting or also appealing to the learner. So I'm not worried about the content and the design at the same time. So, and then again, if I've got a subject matter expert that needs to review my voiceover script, it's really important for them to actually sign off on this step so that I can reduce the hours or the cost that's going to go into creating this course. And that's really been important for me. So let me show you an example of one that I did where I actually have a storyboard. So you can see a finished example. So this is a storyboard that I worked on teaching students. This is an online master gardener course. So what they're going to do is they're going to learn the parts of the plant. Now, the fact that I actually created this course is interesting because I do not know anything about plants. So I have learned a lot along the way. So basically they have an introduction. Welcome to week 1. I actually usually write myself a note to come back to this when it's all when I'm all done with the course, so that I know what do I want to really say to the learner when they first get into the course. I know that my second slide is usually going to be my learning objectives personally. So so I even put my references of where I got these learning objectives, so I can come back to references at the end. I put my needs. So if I have subject matter experts that I'm working with, I put what I need from them here. And also, is it okay to use the wording directly from the citation? And then of course, making sure to add the citation for that as well. So then we move on to some expectations for the learner. So this activity is going to be worth a certain amount of grade. So I've got most of my content right here in the main page area. And then again, sort of putting that in the voiceover so that my subject matter experts take a look at that voiceover and sign off on that script before we have it recorded. So let's go through. This is just an instructional page. So this is telling them this is going to be a matching interaction. It's going to be a drag and drop, and they're going to need to look at the vocabulary words. So because I wasn't worried again about these descriptions so much, or the actual design so much, all I did was take screenshots from the participant book and added some boxes over it so that the person that I hand this off to, if I hand it off to someone, can see what I mean. I'm going to need new images. The user's going to drag a word from the bank to the correct image and description. So I'm just creating those instructions for the other person, and then they're going to take it from there. So I basically continue to do that for the rest of the module. But what this helped me to do is to see what I wanted without necessarily having to work on the design part of it. And from that, I had a small discussion with her. We were on the same page as far as what will the design look like. And I didn't have to repeat the steps so much in my next slide. So if you see on this slide here, I basically say it's the same thing. It's going to be a word bank, but I don't have to make the whole, you know, thing look exactly the way that I am going to make it look, because the programmer now understands what this is going to be. So these are all drag and drop interactions. So I did make a template in Word because I have been starting to use Word a lot more, mostly because you can track your references if you have references in here. So you can use something along the lines of EndNote to track your sources. So you can dump all of your sources into a folder on EndNote, and then you can actually come into here and just use a pull down menu to pick your sources. Lately, I've been working on a lot of very scientific stuff, so tracking sources has been really important to me. So, so this Bracken storyboard, I think, is actually quite easy to use, because what I did is I added all of the elements for an actual authoring in Bracken type module. So you've got your media notes. So if there's any notes, like for the audio, you might want to put that the audio is going to play automatically, and that the learner can use the scrubbing tool. And then if you have any media on the page, if you've got a folder that all of your media is in, you don't necessarily have to put it on the page. You can just put the name of the media here. Or let's say you can upload all of the media into Bracken in your media area, then you can also put the name of it here. So I'll go to Bracken in a second to show what I was meaning. So then you can, if you have an audio file, you'll want to put the name of that there, any music for any reason. And then if there's a video, so you can either put the link or the name of the video here. And then if you're doing a video analysis, then you would want to put that information here too. So this template was specifically made for Bracken, because these are all of the media types that you might put into play. So here you've got your, you can add your title again. So I would usually just put introduction, and then I would put any text that appears. I also said to include an asterisk for anything that's going to have a slide title. So in Bracken, you can actually put that little paper clip in that says this is going to be the cell that that holds the title, so that the learner can see the titles. And then also here's going to be your media script. So anything, if you have any voiceover. I also added a box here for time. So if you need to sort of calculate as you go how much time you think each slide is going to take, it's helpful to do that as you go. And then at the, you know, in your introduction, you might come back to it and say, oh, this course is going to take you about 5 minutes to get through, or this module is going to take you 5 minutes to get through. Learners are really enjoying that type of information, I've found. So if you can put that in your module description, then they know, okay, I have enough time that I can start that module. Now, if you have an interaction or a quiz, you're going to put that type in here. So if you want a drag and drop, or if you want a matching, or a choose all that apply, you'll want to put that, the type of it in here. So you'll just put multiple choice, for instance, or select all that apply. And then all of your text would go here. So I can, and then if there's any branching, so usually it'll just go to the next slide. But if for some reason you want there to be a button on the slide that says that they can skip ahead to a different slide, you'll want to put that here. So this table, everything's a little slow because I'm zooming, but you can just copy it and then put it onto your next page. And then you'll continue from there. So this would then be slide 2. I'd probably put my learning objections. And we didn't get to our, I was going to take some screenshots. So let's say we're going to add that screenshot of how to get to that virtual setting on Zoom. Virtual background. So we can take my screen, my picture that we've gotten off of previously, and I can just add that to Bracken. So let's go here. So I would just go to my media and add my media into Bracken. So that way, if you are collaborating on a project, then you can just add all of your media to the file. And then, so I have it labeled screenshot, but let's change that name to okay. So now we have the virtual background picture. So if I upload my picture into the content creation area, then in my storyboard, all I have to do is just say that the virtual background.png is the picture that they're going to add here. So that's a way that you could collaborate with people who all have Bracken authoring tools and put them, you know, get all of the media into a place that you can utilize it and not have the option of making an error there. Or like I said, you can add it to a folder and have one big folder that has all of your media in it. But instead of necessarily having it in a big PowerPoint that then becomes like, you know, 60 megabytes that you have to try to pass back and forth to each other, this creates it in a way that you don't have to have all of the media necessarily in your design. So the idea is that you're getting your ideas on the page instead of all of the media in it as well. So I would probably say that there would only be about 30 seconds on this slide. And then if there is any media script, I would say the learning objectives for today are, and one quick note, if you do use voiceovers, a lot of the times if I have the same module, if I have the same voiceover person and I'm trying to reduce my budget for how to have a lot of voiceovers done, is I actually take and make things as generic as I possibly can. So I'll say the learning objectives for this module are as follows. Then I just read, if I, let's say I have 5 modules, I've just reduced my cost of creating a voiceover by like 4, because I don't have to pay for 5 of a similar type of learning or voiceover to be done. So, and a lot of the times your introduction, your learning objectives, your conclusion, all of that can be made a little bit more generic so that you're not having to use up all of your budget in a voiceover. If you've ever paid for voiceover, it can be a little bit pricey. So, and if you do have a video, like I said, you would just add the URL here and then continue on to your next slide. So I have about 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I leave some time for questions.
That's great, Cara, thank you. Is there any questions?
Dan's gonna have these resources available to you as well, so I urge you to give them a try. They're really, really helpful, and I've been doing storyboarding for about 5 years, and as you saw in the description of the course or for today's e-learning, you know, movie producers will do this so that you can really just get all of your ideas down and not have to worry about the design so much.
This is it's Murray Macklin here. Cara, thank you. That's really, really useful, because it's not something I've having been an author inside Bracken for far too many years, I think. I hadn't thought about this process, so it's been really, really useful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope that you have a good, successful use of it. Well, you'll have to let us know how your first storyboard goes.
I will.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, unless there's any other questions or comments, we might sign off there, eh? So thanks everyone for coming along, and yeah, I'll get this video up on on their website as soon as I can, and links to the resources Kara's going to share. So I'll get that out to you later today.
Thanks, Kara. That's
Perfect.
good.
Yeah. Thank you. See you
Thanks so
guys.
much. Take care.
Nice one, Kara. See ya.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Cheers, Mark.